Good morning and welcome to the Real Outdoors, where we talk about camping, hunting, and gear. If that's something you're into, please consider clicking that red subscribe button. And don't forget to hit the notification bell so that you get notified about all our new content. Today we are going to talk about what to bring with you on a 2-day backpacking trip. We are getting ready to go on a short backpacking trip on the Florida Trail with my son's scout troop. And in the scout troop, I get a lot of questions, mainly from adults, about what to bring on a backpacking trip. We don't do a lot of backpacking trips with the troop. It's mostly car camping, towing the scout trailer along with us. And so you kind of can bring whatever you want. And you're not out in the wilderness away from water, food, Walmart, all these wonderful things. So it's a unique experience for a lot of these adults, and it's not something they do all the time. I plan my own backpacking trips outside of scouts, my own camping trips with the family. Sometimes it's car camping, sometimes it's backpacking, but I do it a lot. So I'm not real concerned. And I had the Philmont experience, Northern Tier, where you're separated from civilization and you only have what you have with you in your back or your whale bag or your dry bag, whatever the case may be. And so I thought it would be good to do a video about what to take on a 2-day backpacking trip. And I'm going to show you what I have in my pack for this 2-day backpacking trip. For those of you that are interested, my base weight right now is at 16.3 pounds. That is with a hammock and underquilt versus a tent. I could get that base weight down if I went with a tent instead of a hammock. That's just a personal choice. I'm willing to carry the extra weight for the added comfort of my hammock because I just can't take sleeping on the ground in a tent anymore. I'm just getting too old for that. It's hard getting old, and it's a lot more comfortable in that hammock. But the Hyperlight 4400 Windrider is at 16.3 base weight. I added food and I'm at about 19 pounds, so I guess I have about 3 pounds of food. I did overpack a little bit on food. I just want to make sure I have enough calories while I'm out there. The plan is to hike 9.5 miles out and 9.5 miles back. We're going from Salt Springs to Hopkins Prairie on the Florida Trail in the Ocala National Forest. The one thing I don't have with me is my trekking poles. I don't really consider that because I choose to use trekking poles. It's not really part of my pack weight or what I pack because I'm always using them, I'm carrying them. I rarely put them in here. I think I've mentioned before I have ankle issues, and then I injured my knee this year during hunting season, so I am always going to be using trekking poles. I don't consider that part of my pack weight because it'll never be in my pack. The only other thing that's not included in that 16.3 pounds is my charger cables. I do have the charger in there. I just don't have the charger cables. So that may add a few ounces to that 16.3 pound base weight. I do want to share one tip with you about that. Like I said, I'm not an ultralight backpacker, but what I have learned is that fear adds weight to your pack. Be sure to look at what you're packing, what you're taking on a backpacking trip, and really think about whether you need it or not. Yeah, I may need this or I may need that. And what happens if all those fears about your backpacking trip are going to add weight to your pack because you're going to start adding things to it? The third flashlight because one backup is not enough. You want to have 3 different light sources. The camp shoes, that's a big one. Yeah, it's probably more comfortable, and yeah, it's nice when you're in the middle of the night and you got to get to go pee to have camp shoes. But just wear your regular old hiking boots and you'll be fine. Again, it's adding weight that you don't really need. It's fear-based, things like that. So it's just something to keep in mind when you are packing for a backpacking trip. What do you say we get started and see what I have in here for the trip? We're going to start with what I'm sitting on. I used to take a camp chair. Yes, Kyle hates hiking. I am one of those people. A camp chair is nice. It's very comfortable. But that is 2+ pounds of extra weight that I really don't need. It's a nice thing to have. It is far from a necessity. Philmont, I did not carry a backpacking chair. I actually didn't even use this. I just had, this is what my sleeping pad was was, you know, the bigger version of this closed cell foam sleeping pad, and I just folded it up like this, and that's what I used to sit on, leaned against a rock or a tree, perfectly comfortable. I never felt the need for the backpacking chair, and ever since that trip, I refuse to carry one with me. But I am taking this. It's just nice, weighs next to nothing. It's a nice little sit pad. I can also use it to put things on, my cook kit, lay my socks out, put my feet on out of the hammock. So I have a place to put my feet. That's pretty much the first piece of gear. So a sit pad, definitely not a necessity, but I would recommend having something like this to bring with you. Could even be a real small cutout of an old sleeping pad that you have, closed cell foam or something like that. Of course, I'll put the links to all of these products down in the description so you don't have to try and dig through and figure out what I'm using. This is not even the Thermarest one. This is an off-brand, but again, I'll put the links in the description so you can see what it is. It's like $8 or $9, something like that. Number 2, and again, this is not part of my base weight because I will be wearing it, and that is my puffy jacket. Again, even if I do take it off and have to put it in the pack, it doesn't add a lot of weight, but I always bring my puffy jacket. Especially in Florida, you never really know what the weather's going to do. It can get cold real fast, especially in the winter months like we are in now. And so I will definitely have my puffy jacket with me, if nothing else, just to sleep with or use as a pillow. Of course, I have some rain gear. I don't wear pants. I think they're a waste of time. My legs are going to get wet regardless. My feet are going to get wet regardless, especially in Florida. A lot of the trail that we're going through is very swampy, so your legs are going to be wet regardless. And this doesn't really keep you dry either. I don't think any rain jacket really keeps you dry if you're hiking in a downpour, but it does kind of keep you warm. So it's really more to keep you warm than anything else. It does do a pretty good job of protecting electronics and things that you might have in your pockets, but I still always like to have a rain jacket. This is one of those fear things. Really and truly, I could get away without a rain jacket. I'm gonna get wet even if I have this on. Is there really any point in carrying it? Maybe not. I don't feel like it's enough to throw out and not take with me. Not to mention I'm going on a scout trip, and this is one of the Scout 10 essentials. So I need to set a good example. Next up is my hammock tarp. This is the Cloud Tarp from Warbonnet. You can see I'm keeping it in the outside pocket of my backpack, and there's a reason for that. During my last Appalachian Trail section hike, it poured on us right as we got to camp. All my gear got wet. If I'd had this with me, I could have put the tarp up and had a dry space to get my gear out, to get organized, to set up my tent, things like that. Of course, you need a tarp for your hammock, but I have it on the outside so that if it is raining or bad weather, I can set the tarp up right away and do all my work underneath the tarp and have some kind of shelter from the rain. Again, this is not something I'm including in base weight, and I'm still not sure I'm going to bring it. I may wear this as my mid layer, which is just a very thin performance fabric hoodie. This is a grid fleece hoodie, a little heavier mid layer. Temperature's supposed to be 70 during the day and get down into the high 40s, low 50s at night. Chilly, not uncomfortable for a Florida boy. It's actually ideal as far as I'm concerned. I think it'll be great. I'm not sure I'm going to need a mid layer this heavy, but this would be, my mid layer or what I'm wearing right now, which is a much lighter performance fabric hoodie. That'll be my mid layer, so that's what I'm wearing. Again, not in the pack. In my side pocket, don't really have much. I do have a compass. I always like to have a compass, especially when I'm going with scouts. They need to learn how to use them, and it's a great backup if all of your electronics go bad. It's always a good idea to have a compass, in my opinion. So this is a very cheap one, but it'll get you through in a jam if you really do need to use a compass. Something very important for scout campouts, earplugs. So I've got just a few earplugs for me here. I'll probably add a few more in here so that I have some extras for the other adults who may need them and then forgotten them. Let's get into the meat of the pack here. Of course, I'm taking my Hyperlight Wind Rider 4400 backpack. It's a 70-liter backpack. I definitely do not need that much for this trip, but I will when I go to Philmont next, not this upcoming summer, but the next summer. I love having the extra space, and of course, you can see I just rolled it down to what I need. Works out perfectly. All right, first up is my underquilt. This is the Warbonnet underquilt made specifically for my hammock, the Blackbird XLC. It'll be my first time using it. I'm actually borrowing it from a friend. Their lead time is so long that it wasn't going to be here in time for the camp out, but I do plan on getting one of these for myself. So this gives me an opportunity to try it out before I buy it. A friend had it, has the same hammock I do, and he already had the underquilt. It's much smaller than my current underquilt. It's down, so it packs much easier. This is the 20-degree quilt, which is probably a lot more than I'm going to need, but that's the one I would end up purchasing. So that's the one I wanted to try out. Next, let's talk about water filtration and what my water system is. You may have seen I pulled this out of the outer stretchy pocket. This is the ever-new 2-liter bladder. Again, this is something new to me. I have the C-Knock or the Knock, whatever you want to call it. Not a super big fan of it. I like the big opening, but that big opening is also hard to close, and that can result in leaking. I don't want any leaking. I've heard really good things about these ever-new bladders, so I'm looking forward to trying that. Of course, the Sawyer filter fits right on top of it, and I'm using the full-size Sawyer. I prefer that over the Mini because I do not like the low flow rate of the Mini. I'm just keeping it in a very small Ziploc bag, so when I do use it, it's not leaking water all over the inside of my pack. Even though it's a small amount of water, I don't want any inside my pack. And then in my bladder, I've got this, which is just a coupling to go from your Sawyer to the water bladder or to a water bottle, so that you can back flush your Sawyer if you need to. And then in addition to that, for my water system, I'm using, smart water bottles. I actually want to go with the 1.5 liter. Like I said, the water sources on this part of the trail are fairly unreliable. So I want to make sure I have a little bit more water with me. So I'm going with the 1.5 liter instead of the normal 1 liter that I go with. Of course, I've switched out the top for the sport water bottle cap, because then I can do that little hack that I talked about in my other video, link up there, where I can also use this to back flush my Sawyer if I need to. And then I have fallen in love with this system. This is the Aquaclip. I think I heard about it first from Dan Becker. Z-Packs sells them, but I got mine directly from aquaclips.com or aquaclip.com. Yeah, aquaclip.com. It is awesome. It clips right on to your water bottle and then slides into your backpack strap, kind of like this. Makes it super easy to get in and out. I absolutely love it. I do not like reaching around behind me to try and reaching around to get out of my water bottle pocket. I think they're useless. I can never get the water bottle back in there. So this is perfect. I'll leave one of these in my water bottle pocket, and then this one will always ride right here on my shoulder strap. But that is my water system for the trip. Of course, my insulation is my Enlightened Equipment Revelation Top Quilt. Absolutely love this thing. I use it all the time, not just for camping, but when I'm traveling, it is phenomenal. No way I'm going on any camping trip without this, so definitely that. But you need to have some type of insulation. This is new also. This is a Christmas present. Thanks, Dad. This is my new bear bag setup from lightaf.com. Light as a feather. Or, yeah, light as a feather. Sure, we're going with that. It's just a Dyneema bag. Of course, it comes with a carabiner. And then all my food is in here. I also put, these are basically all my smellables. I like to keep all my smellables in one place so that I can easily get it up in the bear bag if I need to. This bag is an op sack from Lock Sack. They are supposed to be smell proof, I guess you'd call it. Basically, they don't let odors out. It's got a patented Ziploc system. Theoretically, you could put all your food and everything in here and just move it away from camp, not even hang it like a bear bag, and it'll work for that. But I just put all my smellables in it because it's nice and easy and goes right into my bear bag. So, you know, got a few things in there. You have to figure out what you need. I've got a little bit of paracord, Body Glide, camp soap for some dishes if I need to do it, some hand sanitizer, and of course my Colgate Wisps, which is my favorite way to brush my teeth when I'm in the backcountry. Way easier than carrying toothpaste and a toothbrush, even if you cut the toothbrush down. And then I also have some water purification tablets in here, just in case I feel like I need to purify some water. Again, that weighs nothing. Again, that's fear-based. So these are the things you have to think about. Is it something you really need? I've got the Sawyer filter. There's really no need for purification tablets in Florida, but it might make you feel a little better to use one, and it doesn't add a whole lot of weight. So as part of this bear bag setup, you've got this little tiny Dyneema bag that is your rock bag. And of course, inside that, I've got 50 feet of line, and I love this. Light AF includes this little rod that weighs next to nothing. But instead of having to search around to find a stick to do the PCT method of a bear hang, they give you this little stick that fits perfectly in the rock bag, and then you can do the PCT method to hang your bag without having to find that stick. It's got one already with it. I don't even think it weighs an ounce. I mean, you can hardly tell if you're even holding it. So that's the bear bag. And I'm gonna do a separate video all about bear bags because that seems to be a big question for a lot of people who are new to backpacking. What do I do? What do I use? This is a great setup. It's a little pricey for a bear bag, but I love the Dyneema. But you could do the same thing with a nylon dry bag and a small ditty sack for your rock sack and some paracord that you pick up from Walmart. Basically the same setup as this. This is just lighter weight, that's all. All right, so let's talk about food a little bit. For my mess kit, I really don't think I'm even gonna need this. I might end up taking this out because I'm using Mountain House meals, you know, backpacker meals. I'm gonna eat it right out of the pouch. My lunches are basically Spam, peanut butter packets, energy bars, all things I can eat out of the packet. I really don't think I need this, but this is a Fossils bowl that just snaps like that. And then you've got a bowl. You know, the more I think about this, I'm not sure I'm gonna bring this. But anyway, this would be, like, this is what I took to film on. It's just a bowl, it's all you really need. Anything you put on a plate, you can put in a bowl. So it's just this one, even though the Fossils kit comes with a plate, a bowl, and a cup, I only take the bowl. And then of course, titanium, Sea to Summit spork. Not sure why I need a spork. I'm not sticking anything with it, but I have it. Nice long handle so I can get into the Mountain House meals. So that's my spork. This is my cook kit. Could probably get by without the bag and just use a big rubber band. I have the Luxada 750 ml pot that is also going to double as my coffee cup because all I'm going to be doing is boiling water out of this, and a little coffee flavoring to my Mountain House isn't going to even be noticeable. So got the cover, which again, I could probably do away with the cover. Not sure I need that, other than it holds my stove, which is the BRS titanium stove. I have a lighter in here. Of course, I will always have a lighter in my pocket as a backup. You don't want to be without fire. And this small isobutane gas canister actually fits inside there. This is the 4 ounce or 110 gram gas canister. Fits right inside of my 750 ml pot, as does my BRS stove and my lighter, all under the top and into my little bag. I might be changing that up a little bit to lose some weight. I'm not sure I need the top, so I can take the top out of there. I could get rid of this bag and just use a rubber band. Might have to look at that. Could cut some weight there. So this is the Gossamer Gear liner bag that I just got. It's way smaller than I expected it to be, but it seems to work okay. So let's talk about what I have here. I have my bedtime socks. I love these fleece socks. I've talked about them in my video where I talk about cold weather camping and how to stay warm. I always want dry socks to sleep in to keep my feet warm, and these things weigh next to nothing even though they're big, and they are so warm. So I'm definitely bringing those. My luxury item is my pillow. I got a My Pillow. You can see it rolls up. It's very similar to the Thermarest pillow. I sleep so much better when I have this. You could get away without a pillow. You could use the puffy jacket in a stuff sack if you really wanted to, but I love this and I'm willing to carry the extra weight. Like I said, I'm not an ultralight camper, but this is one of my luxury items for sure. This is my first aid kit. I'll put a link to the video where I talk about my Scout first aid kit. This is more than just my personal first aid kit. I'm going with the Scout troop, so I am responsible for other Scouts. So I need to make sure that I'm able to take care of them as well. I put it in a new container that's a lot lighter. It's not the tactical first aid bag that I put in my first aid kit video. It's just a dry bag, and then all the first aid kit stuff is in there. I've pared down that too, really just based on what I need. I have a tourniquet in there that's really for emergencies only. I've got a triangular bandage which will handle most breaks and sprains, but more than anything else, I'd say 80% of the injuries I have to treat with Scouts is blisters and hot spots. So I've got a lot of moleskin and a lot of Leukotape because that's 80 to 90% of what I'm gonna need in the backcountry on a Scout trip. But I got the weight down from over 2 pounds that I carried at Philmont to this is now 13 ounces for my Scout first aid kit or my Wilderness first aid kit for the troop. So I'm pretty happy with that. And of course, in this dry bag, it's not all in little pouches and stuff, so I can just dump the whole thing out and I have it all there ready to go. These are my clothes. Really, the only clothes I'm bringing are what I'm wearing and my sleeping clothes. So this is literally a long sleeve performance fabric shirt and long underwear. That's all I have in here. And then of course, I have my Warbonnet Blackbird XLC hammock. I did also bring a little thing of Tyvek. And so the reason I brought that is the area we're going on the Florida Trail, and this is something you need to check out if you're gonna take a hammock on a backpacking trip. The area we're going has places where you camp that don't have a lot of trees. So I may not be able to hang my hammock. Now, I can set up my hammock as a bivvy. Of course, I've made a video on that. I'll put a link in the eye in the sky. So I am anticipating that I may have to set up my hammock as a bivvy. And if I do, I want this Tyvek underneath it to protect the bottom of my hammock, because that's what you're supporting all your weight on, is the bottom of that hammock. You don't want to put a hole in it and then tear the whole thing. So I want something underneath me to protect it. Tyvek weighs next to nothing. Again, another one of those fear items. I'm in a national forest. I ought to be able to find a couple of trees I can hang a hammock from. I may have to walk a little further, but I'm going to take it just in case I have to set it up as a bivvy. And let's see. We've got my down hood for sleeping and staying warm. I absolutely love this. To me, it's a must in the winter when you use a top quilt because you don't have that mummy hood. This is my charger. It's kind of heavy. It is a solar power bank. So it has solar and a 26,000 milliamp hour power bank. This is what I used in Philmont for 12 days. I love this thing. I will probably be doing a separate video about chargers and what you want to take into the backcountry. This is probably a little overkill for a 2-day trip, but I'm going to be taking cameras with me. I'm going to be filming it. I've got my Garmin Phoenix watch. I've got my phone, which has all my maps on it. So I want to make sure I'm able to charge all the electronics I'm bringing with me and don't want them to go dead. So I am going to carry this one. And last but not least are my stakes for my tarp and my hammock. Yeah, that's it. That's all I got. 16.3 pounds, well 19 because I've got my food with me. But that's pretty much it. Like I said, the only other thing I'm going to add is my charging cables. As you can see, I already have my charger, but that's what I'm taking on a 2-day scout backpacking trip. Hopefully this video answered some of your questions about what to take on a short backpacking trip. This is what I'm taking, but maybe you want to bring a tent instead of a hammock. I thought about doing that. It would have weighed a lot less, but like I said, I don't like sleeping on the ground. Of course, then, let's see, you would not need the underquilt, but you'd need a sleeping pad, and that underquilt weighs the same as my sleeping pad. So there are trade-offs. Point being, you need a good shelter, you need a good sleep system to keep you warm and comfortable. You need your food, you need a way to keep your food safe from critters. You need a way to eat, so whatever cook system. You could be cold soaking for all I know, but you need some type of cook system. I like the BRS stove, I like hot food. I'm not doing cold soaking, just ain't doing it. Sorry. My bag is theoretically waterproof, so I don't need a pack cover. You may need a pack cover for whatever pack you're using. These are all things that you need to consider. What clothes are you gonna wear? Like I said, I'm only bringing one change of clothes for when I'm sleeping at night. Otherwise, I'm wearing the same thing. It's 2 days. I may smell a little bit, but it'll be all right. Just stop and think, walk yourself through the trip, what you're gonna need, and I'm sure you'll be able to put together a good setup for your first backpacking trip, or maybe your second. Every time you'll get better. If you got something out of this video, be sure to smash that like button. Don't forget to click the red subscribe button and the red notification bell so you can keep up with all of our content. And I look forward to seeing you in the real outdoors.